The last book I'd like to review tonight is a work of Japanese literature, um, early Japanese modernism, actually, that doesn't get really discussed too much. I don't think it's read too much at all, even though there is a vintage classics edition of it. Um, it's a novel. It's called Kokoro, which is, I think, how you'd say it in Japanese, Kokoro. And the novelist's name is Natsume Soseki. This novel, which was actually one of Natsume Soseki's last, and written on the very cusp of Japan's epical rise to becoming a world power. This was 1913, 1912, 1914, right before World War I. It reflects the author's preoccupation with conflicting cultural attitudes in the transition from the feudalist late Tokugawa shogunate to the capitalist, more imperialized, more industrialized, modernized Japan that you would see during the Meiji Restoration, beginning in 1868. Of course, this period wasn't just marked with bureaucratic, political, and military reforms. These sort of contradictions and cultural tiffs sort of trickled their way down into people's personal lives and family and friendships, as they always do. And this intensely personal impact of cultural tensions at a personal level is what Soseki looks at in Kokoro. Kokoro tells the story of a narrator who sees a man walking down a beach one day. Well, he's visiting a beach town, and he eventually befriends this man who we only come to know as sensei, which of course in Japanese means teacher. The development of their friendship and their growing relationship forms the first part of this book's three-part structure. The narrator repeatedly emphasizes his own naivete, his innocence, in contrast with the worldliness and the cynicism of Sensei. Sensei is a very interesting man. He's very guarded. He's old enough to work, but he chooses not to. Even though we never get the impression that this is out of laziness, he's very able-bodied. He keeps busy around the house. He has few close friends, and he doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve. While the innocent young narrator initially sees Sensei as the sort of stereotypical older wise man, he slowly begins to realize as the novel unfolds that Sensei has something very unique to teach him. When the emperor dies, his beloved general, whose name is Nogi, General Nogi commits junchi, which is ritual suicide after the death of one's feudal lord or master. It was very popular in medieval Japan, even though it came into lasted much longer than that. Being a man of the old Tokugawa era, this act evokes more of a reaction in the sensei, in the old man, than it does in the younger narrator. Who is from, obviously, Soseki is trying to tell us a new time, a reformed time. Another sign that this heightened reaction from the sensei is another sign that Soseki is telling the story of a generational and a cultural shift, right? A real divide. When Soseki when Sensei sees General Nogi kill himself out of loyalty for the emperor, he realizes that he doesn't feel comfortable in this new Meiji dispensation, this cultural dispensation with the modern age As Soseki says, quote, "The modern age so full of freedom, independence, and our own egotistical selves." The second part, called My Parents and I, sees the narrator's father health start to decline, which leaves his future as a very recent college graduate uncertain. He and his brother are both curious about what the will has in store for them, but the recent manner in which General Nogi died, sort of brutally underscores the new era's selfishness in material things. They both just want to know what's in the will, what's in it for them. The last part consists of a very long letter that the old man, the sensei, writes to the narrator before he too decides to take his life. And in this very long letter, he tells the story of his youth, his family, and an episode during his time as a student that I won't fully discuss the details of here because it sort of explains his entire personality, that ties together all the facets of who Sensei is, and finally completely reveals why he is the way he is. To tell you would be to give the book away, essentially. Throughout the novel, the prose is spare and sharp and clean and clear and almost minimalistic. Even Sensei's voice in his extended letter varies very little stylistically from that of the narrator. This spareness, this tightness, adds to a sense of quiet distance between the reader and the story, which perhaps makes for more harmonious reflection. The language just may be the product of a particularly good translation, but I found the writing to be well suited to describing the characters and Soseki's themes, which seem to be over and over again human frailty, the inevitability of the culture clash, the unrelenting quality of modernity, and the confrontation with one's own troubled youth. Kokoro by Natsume Soseki.